In this video, we have got a 100 plus kill game with the bar from the support class on Rotterdam Conquest. Stick around, in a moment I'll flash up the specializations, and shortly after that we'll look at the pros and cons, and this game in particular. So as you can see, we have got quick reload, ported barrel, custom stock, and finally barrel bedding, being 1 on the left and 3 on the right. So for the first specialization choice, looking at quick aim versus quick reload, you can see of course I've gone for quick reload. I don't think it's really needed to have quick aim because it's not a SMG aggressive medic weapon which you're going to be running around and going into loads of 1v1 gunfights needing to aim in first. You've got 20 rounds, it's going to have, therefore a lot of reloads throughout the course of a game. And that's going to be the main thing that's going to get you killed, is being killed while reloading and therefore not able to shoot back at the enemies. So that's why I go for the quick reload. It's a gun which you should be using more so at medium range. You can be good at long range because you have the slow fire rate option and tap fire ability, and so I don't think quick aim is needed so much, and being able to pre-aim or predict where enemies are going to come from by looking at the minimap to see the direction of red dots or just where threats might come from, or simply just using good listening to hear footsteps. You can sort of pre-aim before an enemy comes around the corner and before you get into a gunfight. Moving on to the second and third specialization options, these are going to be two of the easiest options on any of the guns I've ever chosen in Battlefield 5. You've got the two on the right side, which are simply different variations of increasing your accuracy, whereas the left side is going to be improving your hip fire. Now, again, it's not a gun you want to be running around, running and gunning aggressively in close range with, and so as you play with this gun, the playstyle you want to be using when playing with this gun is trying to avoid getting into close quarter situations, which is going to be disadvantageous when coming up against, ZKs, shotguns, Type 2As, which are all going to have an advantage over this gun, regardless of whether you use hipfire or not, with good hipfire specializations or without good hipfire specializations. So there's absolutely no need at all ever to be using this gun in hipfire. You're very rarely going to use it, only when you get caught out in close range. So absolutely take the accuracy specs because you've only got 20 rounds in the gun, and taking those accuracy specializations will give you the best chance of being able to get more than 1 kill per magazine. Looking at the final specialization option, again, the right side is going to be increasing your accuracy versus the left side here, which is the light and stock, giving you increased movement speed while aiming down sight. Now, again, you can see I've gone on the right side here, opting to go for accuracy. The light and stock is kind of a fan favorite choice for all of the aggressive players, but as I've said, this is not a medic SMG where you're going to be running around, running and gunning, trying to win gunfights. If you're going for light and stock, then you probably would have gone for quicker aim as well, if you're going for that more aggressive build. But overall, I think it's much better to build this gun as a support weapon, as it is, for medium range engagements. And therefore, of course, going for accuracy is going to help you out in medium range way more, as well as at long range. Again, also allowing you to better utilize the slower fire rate option and tap fire ability at those medium to long ranges, of which, if you have a faster ADS movement speed, that's only going to lower your accuracy because you're moving faster, and that's going to therefore make it harder for you to get more than 1 kill with the 20 rounds. It might even make it hard for you to get 1 kill with the 20 rounds if you're not choosing accuracy specializations and if you're having the light and stock. Yes, it will make you a harder target to hit, but with only 20 rounds, accuracy is absolutely the key, and you need to trust your aim and trust that you can get kills and win gunfights without moving fast. Use cover where you can so that you make your body small, and you should be able to survive a lot longer in gunfights, and that's exactly why I go with these specialization choices. So moving on from the specializations, and before we get into the pros and cons of the gun, something that I failed to sort of comment on in previous videos, and something that might be quite interesting to talk about, is going to be the factions that I'm playing on, and therefore how does that change the play style, what types of guns you want to be using, etc. So as you can see, I'm playing on the British side with our spawn flag being A, against the German side whose spawn flag is E. Normally, I absolutely love to play sniper on Rotterdam because you can use the bridge, you've got a high advantageous point, and you can just see all the flags around it. You know, it makes for a much more enjoyable game where you don't have to just run around like headless chicken trying to find enemies and getting bored. That's why a lot of people always, you know, jump out of this rotation after Underground. So, you know, playing long range is something that I would suggest to do on Rotterdam. However, when you're on the British side, it can be very difficult to use a sniper, and will often see me change to a more aggressive gun because of being on the British side, and that is simply because, and if you think about the way the map is designed, there's so many buildings here next to the German spawn flag of E and D flag where all the enemies can sort of hide in, where if you're playing as a sniper on the British side, standing on the bridge or at the other side of the map from where I am now, it's very hard to spot or see any enemies throughout the course of the game because they're all inside these buildings and of course, you know, therefore hidden from your vision. Whereas if you play on the German side, if you can get up past these buildings onto the bridge, you can effectively stop all the enemies from getting to these hidden positions inside these buildings, and the enemy's only main route to get to the German side of the map is going to be down the center of the map, which is basically on or under the bridge, which is completely out in the open. They have to run all the way along down the waterfront to get between the two flags of B and D. And I guess the most protected way that they can get to the German side, however there's not always that many enemies there, is pushing towards the German spawn straight from A, straight through C and to E. So there's a bit of cover with the buildings there, but in terms of playing as a sniper and playing long range, it's much more effective and easier when you're playing on the German side. Hence why in this game it is working very well for me using the bar. I'm pushing, as you can see in all these clips in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, I'm pushing towards their flag of D, pushing slightly towards E but staying on the bridge in between D and E, giving myself a high off the ground advantageous position, looking down and cutting off, I guess, flows of enemy between those two flags. And so it's working really well for me to play, you know, aggressively, but again still a bit passive because I'm using a 20 round gun without quick aim and all those other specs to it. But you can see I am using the faster fire rate for the majority of this game. If I was using the bar on and playing on the German side, I'm sure you would see me using the slow fire rate option and tap fire while in the slow fire mode a lot more. And it's, you know, this video is not to say or to show that, you know, I don't use the slow fire rate. The slow fire rate is a massive advantage, as I'm going to explain now in the pros and cons. So moving on to the pros and cons of this gun, and starting off with cons. Of course, the first and massively obvious thing is going to be that it has only got 20 rounds. It doesn't have a super fast or super slow reload, but the 20 rounds does make it disadvantageous because you are constantly reloading after almost every kill, often being very lucky to get more than one kill, especially when you're in that fast fire rate mode, which does massively drop your accuracy. In terms of other small negatives, it does have a bit of a kick to it with recoil, but nothing that you can't manage by pulling down on your thumbstick. And I guess the other main cons with this weapon is the sight choices, which are, I guess, effective for this gun. The 3x scope has that very thick post on it, which if you use will block the majority of the enemy's body or head, and it can massively drop your accuracy at medium to long range, which is where you want to be using this gun. As well as the iron sight, of course, you know, basically includes or has the majority of the body of the gun blocking your screen, so it's very hard to identify and spot moving targets on screen or the next target that you want to be aiming for on screen while you're aimed in. And it's not a very clean iron sight either. So therefore that kind of leaves the reflex sight as the only viable option, which again is not a sight which is perfect for long range, but again it's the best one and it does the job. And it's absolutely worth me noting and saying that the AA sight might be an option, but I feel like it's one of those sights which you either love or you hate on a weapon. I've seen people use the AA sight and do really well on this gun, but for me it's something I just cannot get with and cannot use. Just that doesn't work for me. but it is a sight which, as you have seen, is the only sight I can get to work or to use or feel good with on the LS26. So the AA sights might be an option for you, but for me the reflex sight is absolutely the best and only way to go with the bar. And lastly, in terms of the pros of this gun, of course it's going to be its fire rate. It's got a very high fire rate, slightly faster than the FG42, so it's got a fast time to kill, providing you can control the recoil and therefore maintain a high accuracy. Again, as I said, the reload time, as you can see, is pretty quick when it's not a full reload. So tactical reload is pretty good, although with 20 rounds you are going to be emptying the magazine more often than you will with other guns with a higher ammo capacity. Unlike the FG42, it's got a slower fire rate option, which makes it a million times better at medium and long range, mainly increasing your accuracy massively, and probably gives you the best chance of getting 2 or 3 kills per magazine because you're increasing your accuracy. And of course the tap fire ability of the gun in the slow fire rate mode is one of the best tap fire guns that I've seen in Battlefield 5. So again, that massively increases your accuracy, and you can actually tap and ping headshots kind of like there to be able to get, kills more effectively. So that pretty much concludes the overview of the pros and cons of the gun. We've gone through the specializations as well, and we've had an overview of the factions, which is something unique I've not talked about before. I have set a like target, as you'll see in the top pinned comment on the video. If this video hits 50 likes within 48 hours, I will release a second 100 bomb this week, which will be the 100 bomb, or my second ever 100 bomb on Arras with the MG42. So smash a like on the video if you've watched this far, and I will see you on the next one.